Good evening, everyone, and it's absolute pleasure to be here and talking to all of you. Maybe from a little bit of a tangential space. Uh, I come from a background of marketing, been with Bharti Airtel as the head of marketing and mobile business for the past 4 years, and and as I got the invite to the talk today, I just thought I'll try and bring in a perspective of coming from an organization where people are used to hearing different types of stories. Uh, Bring in a very different perspective of what we are trying to do at Airtel and hopefully share something about what's been my journey with the entire digital change that we've done at Airtel and share some of the learnings with you, and hopefully you'll find some of that very, very applicable to all of you. As we looked at our business at Airtel from the lens of UX and really serving our customers in a digital space better, I think the first thing to notice is it's been a very, very rapid transformation journey over the last 4 years. It's not got to do with pandemic. As it started in 2018, from moving from a traditional telco where we were known for our peripheral reach and how depth and penetration was being built in the country through telecom, to really a digital tech org, which is really trying to serve now customers, one, the core business itself in a very digital way, and two, we built a lot of series of new and digital services on top, which are now scaling up to scales which are extremely, extremely large. So I think that's the two-step context that I want all of you to know as I move forward. And as I was looking at what I should share today, I brought it in from the lens of really looking at it as how this transformation happened from the way we had to make it work for our own customers. At Airtel, I think everything starts with the only way we work, which is really focused on our customers and really going deep in terms of listening to our customers at that point in time. And that was the first step. It started many years back. We, in 2019, called it out as one of the largest internal transformation projects as Project Purpose, which is really encapsulating the quote that Harpreet took up, which is really our purpose is to serve our customers, and really embedding that every touch point in every single employee of the company, from front end to sales to customer experience to digital to a person writing a line of code. And everyone was part of this transformation. And I think that's the underlying thought which brought all of us together. And I think the other thing that we learned from this, and I would say we went through a journey from 2013 to 2018 that I would call, where we were unsuccessful in digitizing the business after a lot of spend and a lot of effort. And I think there are two key problems. We went business out, went cost out, we went revenue out. And the second thing we did was we tried to create a set of specialists who were creating the transformation from the center. And I think the big click in the organization happened when we said, you know what, this has to be done together. And that's where a lot of this transformation began. I'm going to share 3 such transformation stories today from our Airtel journey. Obviously, I get the privilege of telling you the stories which sound more popular, but that's three stories that I thought I should take and share amongst many others that we have. The first one is really the entire core app that we run on Airtel Thanks, which is our core engagement app with our customers. Each of my story has a little bit of a learning built into it, so I think just not doing everything at once is where I would call the first story of what Airtel Thanks app is trying to do. We lit up this app, we used to call it My Airtel app for the longest time in 2019. End of 2018, we relaunched it as Airtel Thanks app and put a lot of new services into the system. This grew over time to about a 50 million odd monthly active user app, which is reasonably large in the system. 8 million daily active users, about a 15% month-on-month stickiness, 5,500 million monthly revenue from that. Reasonably successful. However, we were hitting a plateau in terms of growth, and stickiness was low at 15-16%. Same service stickiness. We felt this was low, and this is not working the right way. And business has 5,500. The one way of looking at it is not small, 550 crores a month. But in the context of Airtel and the way the size of the business that was being serviced through this, we felt this was seriously underrated. And as we kept probing, we got the team together. We got product engineering, marketing, the design guys, the analytics team, all together to look at this problem from all aspects end to end. And we work typically with a cross-functional team of all of these units coming together. And we realized the customer was getting overloaded and we were too confusing the customer. There's just too much packed in that app, too little real estate, trying to do everything together. And as we decoded this piece step by step, it started becoming very obvious that there have to be fundamental differences from the way we are engaging with our customers. And that's when we started screen by screen, page by page, at every aspect being looked at the core. And we find that it's actually about the customer actions. What really the customer does with our app, it's not what we want to sell to the customer. And we actually came down to very simple pieces of discover, shop, manage, pay, and help. As 5 steps that the customer really engages with us on the app, and making that at the core of our UX. We simplified our entire design of the app into very, very simple UI, which was minimalistic, focused, and really solving one use case or one journey of the customer end to end in every aspect thought through. I'll just bring it up in the form of one example. But before that ultimately moved, it took us about 18 months to transform this app completely to a very simplified app with very focused UI at the core of what we wanted to share with the customers, because that's coming from what they wanted to do. I'll give you an example of billing. So, not very, our bills used to appear on the screen on the app like this, which were a number of pay, and then there used to be a view details. The moment you went in to click view details, the details used to come in a particular way, but analytics were missing. The detail page had dozens and dozens of pages of core details, which were very difficult to decode for any customer. We were, by the way, required to do this regularly. It was not something that we could simplify unilaterally. But the customer was still telling me this is so difficult to understand. They felt that the telco doesn't want us to decode this bill system. We said, look, this cannot go on like this. And then what we did was we gave the customer what they wanted. So we actually moved to, first of all, calling out the bill and the outstanding very simply, all simple connections, stitching it up omni-channel. So your mail PDF, your mobile, your large screen, any touch point at Airtel, having the same view, help on the fingertips, all the attention to details of what customer wants, single payment, and help us completely bot-led. As a result of this, as you scroll down, the customers had all the analytics, simple analytics built in terms of their spends, where are the bills coming from, what are the big chunks of spends on them, and a simplified UI in terms of breaking up any deviation from the core rental, which is what customers look for. And the trust levels on billing went through the roof in terms of this transformation as we rolled this out across. And this is a core telco problem, because we only bill at the end of the day, and customers keep questioning us when something is right, something is wrong. There have been very big legacy problems on this aspect. Consequently, in the space of about last 12 to 18 months, as we've gone on this journey, we are now at about 80 million plus MAUs, 15 million plus daily active users. Fitness is moving towards 50% on month-on-month services. The app is now reasonably, in a month or so, going to cross 1,000 crores of monthly revenue as an app in terms of what it drives. So this is one story that I think was where the teams got together and really solved the customer out, putting UX at the heart of what we had before. I'll give you another one, which is really our television business. It's the DTH business. And really here, the context really was customers always watch linear TV through DTH operators like us. There's a whole world of OTTs lighting up for the last 2 years on mobile. And these two worlds are beginning to conflict. And really at the core, as a telco, as a technology operator, we started first solving it just through bringing these two things together into one user interface that made it all really very seamless. We launched Airtel Extreme. This was in 2019. It just brings the entire world of OTT and linear TV into one viewing experience without having to switch either channels, devices, even remotes. But we still realized this was not driving revenue for us. A lot of usage was happening, but the OTT revenue and subscriptions were not growing. Not growing for us, not growing for partners. And the core problem, as we again deep dive into this, was you were making the customer watch on screen on the TV, but payments were elsewhere. Payments were linked somewhere else, there was a different app, they had to go somewhere else to pay. And slowly as the teams went about, there was a full work that was done where we integrated us, our partners, everyone onto the TV screen. Started with a simple work on scan QR to pay, link to your UPI, start driving revenues drastically for us. And the second step, which is the big unlock that's just going live as we speak this month, is a second tab here, which is one-click add to bill. If you already have a billing relationship with you, you don't even need to make a payment. You start watching and enjoying whatever you want, and the bill just gets added, the amount gets added to your bill. And this is in testing, we tested with limited audience. This is taking up the next step of uptake by 3 to 4x for us, and we're really excited about it. So this is the second place where again the teams went back, looked at each screen, and this I'm just picking up a small cut of what we did. But in terms of the impact of business that's coming through, really teams getting together, and UX really at the heart of what is driving business. The third one is a slightly different use case, and this had to do with our own internal employees and fleet. So Airtel runs about close to 100,000 employees plus associates on ground. These are field sales executives, install and fault repair engineers, store executives, a lot of people in the system for fiber rollouts, network rollouts, and all of those. It's a very large fleet. The other problem on this fleet was that a lot of work used to happen handwritten. So there used to be these diary notes, all the tasks were being maintained like this. This is how this field works. And a lot of coordination between teams and supervisor and manager was happening through WhatsApp. If they've got a little more evolved, they went to Telegram, but that's about it. And we said, look, our entire business at the core of it is being driven by this fleet. And we need to digitize it. So the first question was digitize it. We decided to digitize it in various forms, right? Lots of tools. And there was a lot of adoption issues. These are 100,000 people we are talking about. It's not a small team of 500 or 1,000 people we are trying to digitize. And we realized that there are many things which have to be built actually the customer back, which is in this case our field. And actually we then threw out all the automated tools which were standardized, and we said this is something that's core to us. This we have to build ourselves and get it right. And again, same approach. And the problem continued to be as everyone wanted their own thing, right? So everyone was on their own piece, there were no standardized frameworks, low governance, all of this non-digitized workforce, and inefficient self-created plans. And the biggest problem, unlike a lot of tech startups who were starting afresh, these were highly trained workforces in their own rights. The only work to be done here was retraining, and retraining was huge. So we actually decided to then change the UX. We decided to go UX back, analytics back, dashboard back. And then we created Airtel Work, which is our internal work app, which is the entire workforce management app. We simplified it through visibility through dashboards, clear tasks at the top. Every person, essentially the backend was using a lot of machine learning to just assign tasks in the most efficient manner to each of the guys. And then there were dashboards which were just simplification of what they were used to seeing themselves. And with only one task of saying kill the diary. The only way to look at this is the adopter had to really say this is actually better than my diary and my WhatsApp. And started this transition about 24 months back in various forms, different fleet by fleet. We also created actually the second thing we achieved as we discussed through more and more feedback of the field was the fact that it created an organization team for people who were just operating out of the field. So you created your own view of peers sharing, supervisory layers, and line management all built into the app. It became very clear. You could transfer tasks, you could call for a meeting, you had video chats, all of that built into the system, which actually created like a workplace kind of a feel for the entire fleet. And that became the core of the design of this app, and now it's being adopted at full scale. We have seen 12 to 21% efficiency increase on productivity across different fleets. So It could be different on network versus a sales versus something else. But we have seen double digit everywhere. Best cases have been 20 to 22% ranges we have hit in certain fleets in terms of the productivity of this fleet at the end of this year. And I think the magic here was designing the productivity tools and the collaboration and solving the problem customer back. In this case, it would be our own customer. So that's my third intervention where I felt we learned a lot as we grew along. All of these, by the way, took a lot of time. Each of these are journeys I'm talking about, which are anything between 18 to 24 months of transformation on each of these tasks. As I was looking back, and as I said, for every success I'm putting forward here, there are these 3 failures in the back, which are also gone into what we do. But I'm just going to end my talk today with a very simple message for all, in terms of what I feel happens here. I think the biggest thing for me is what's very clear, and Harpreet I think made this point even more strongly than I did, because I think customer-centric UX designs are critical for business growth. This is the core of growth that we are talking about for every business. This is what ultimately builds sticky customers who trust you, who give you your higher share of business revenue. And they are the ones who are going to become the advocates, and it's a flywheel. They are the ones who bring you more customers at the end of the day. It's the advocacy you generate out of your UX that starts generating even more growth for you as a flywheel. This part I think is very, very clear. The challenge that happens is sometimes our internal structures don't work well on this. And this is the biggest challenge that I think we have overcome in the last few years. I actually, as the head of marketing, now see marketing, UX, and when I say UX, it's UX plus data plus analytics all coming together, are two sides of the same coin. And I think the magic happens when these two come together. And I just want to spend a minute saying why I feel very strongly about why they are the two sides of the same coin. Because at the end of the day, this is core to the growth of the organization. Marketing traditionally has been at the forefront of driving what's the growth agenda of the organization. But more and more UX, data and analytics is becoming the core where growth is being driven, right? These two have to come together. They both actually in a way work out of human psychology. They tap into the human mind in different ways. At one level, you are talking about need scope and needs and reaction to stimulus. At the other side, in UX, the role of color, the placement of use of color, use of words, the placement of a thing. What's the human mind expecting after this click? As the next screen is loading, what's the next space where customer might drop off? And what's the psychology in their head? What reassurance will help them continue on the journey? It's critical. It's actually tapping into the human mindset. And it's actually, again, two sides of the same coin. And both of these spaces are actually customer centric. We need the research, we need the customer feedback to keep learning and keep getting better. So I think putting these two things together is where I think the winning formula works. So my advice was get your marketing and UX teams together at the core of it, if you want to make it. And you will see what individually these two teams bring together, right? The marketers will bring in the user personas, the core needs at the heart of what you have to try. The user testing, reading of customer reactions, converting them into insights and actions. Journey map for all touch points and stages, the width of understanding of the business. On the other hand, the new age analytics, the design thinking, the crafting of design into meeting user expectation on the spot, engagement and interaction of touch points with all the analytics that we have spoken about. That's what is coming from the UX side. And when these two things come together, then the magic happens. So I think my last word is, I think at the core of it, it's all about listening to the customer. Listening to the customer is about talking to the customer, looking at their data, looking at the unsaid part of what they're not saying, what their data is not telling you, but the insight that is telling you. And I think decoding it together is really what it is about. And keep improving on what we do, because there is always scope. Nothing is perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, I can take questions if any.